Right, so we've spoken about TradingView and getting your TradingView account set up, and now we are talking about refining your watch list. So refining is something that I do personally. It's something that I did quite a while ago and have done ever since, and will continue to do so because it adds an additional layer of clarity and confidence to my trading. So a lot of people actually just trade all different currency pairs. They'll go through 10, 20, 30 currency pairs even, looking for setups. And what I actually like to do instead is focus on a few specific currency pairs. I've gotten to know those specific currency pairs very well, and these are the only ones that I do trade now. Every now and then, I will throw something else in there if a obvious setup comes about. But when I do, they are only going to be trades that counter that run in line with some of the currency pairs I do trade. For example, I am primarily a pound trader, so I trade the Great British Pound more than anything else. I also trade the US dollar in quite a lot of my currency pairs as well, and the euro. So I may then for trade a cross of the euro and the pound, or the euro and the dollar, or the pound and the dollar, or the pound and the euro. Okay, but generally I will stick to my watch list, my few specific pairs, and there are five. And then a couple of other things on the watch list as well. So what we're going to do in this video is just actually look at refining a watch list before you even get into the technicals, so that you have a few specific currency pairs to work with. Now, in my opinion, it's much better to specialize. Okay, that's generally what we're doing here, rather than just focusing on loads of different currency pairs and only knowing a little bit about each of them. We want to specialize and get to know really, really well just a few different currency pairs that we can then trade independently, so that we can just trade these few currency pairs nice and professionally and accurately as well. Okay, right. So my watch list, you can see here, is on the side. This is the standard list. This is what I trade generally day to day. I trade the DX. Ignore these two for now. I trade the GBP USD, that's the Great British Pound and the US dollar. I trade GBP AUD, the Great British Pound and the Australian dollar. GBP JPY, the British Pound and the Japanese Yen. Euro USD, the Euro and the US dollar. And XAU USD. Now, this one is different to the currencies. This one is gold. So this is the only commodity that I generally trade on a day-to-day basis. So these five pairs on my watch list. I've got my pound pairs marked blue with the little blue ticket, which you can do there, because these are the three that I do primarily trade more than anything else. And then I do have the euro and gold in green. So that is the five pairs that I trade, my specialized pairs. So you'll also see on my watch list, I do have these two at the top, the DXY and the BXY. Now, these are not something that I trade. I do not trade the DXY. I do not trade the BXY. They are called indices. They are indexes. What they do is track the strength of a specific currency. So if we're looking at the DXY, that tracks the strength of the US dollar. The BXY tracks the strength of the British pound. So as you know, because I trade the US dollar 1, 2, 3 in three of my trading pairs, and I trade the pound in 1, 2, 3 of my trading pairs, I like to know what the US dollar is doing and what the British pound is doing. Knowing what these two are doing by actually viewing the weighted performance of each of these assets gives me quite a large boost in understanding where a market is going to go across some of these other different currency pairs. So that is my use of a specialized watch list, and that's what I've got. Okay, my five currency pairs, these are what I trade, and then these two indices. Now, we are going to get much further into indices later in the course. I'm going to show you exactly how to use them for the best results, and hopefully you will learn a thing or two there. But for the meantime, just know that that is how we are going to specialize your watch list. So I would recommend choose between 3 and 5 currency pairs. 3 to 5 is good because it means we have a broad selection to choose from. If we have too little, we may not have any setups for a week or longer, which of course is not good because we want to be making money. But we also don't need to push ourselves to make money, okay? We don't need to be pushing ourselves too far, trying to make money across so many different pairs. So that's why we only need 3 to 5. 3 to 5 is going to give us enough setups to find enough solid ideas to make some consistent money, enough to build a career out of. So 3 to 5 pairs is all you're going to need. I do recommend a few of the same currency pair. That's what you're going to get to grips with the most. Now, for me, that's the Great British Pound. I like the British Pound because it's very volatile. What that means is we get big swings up and big swings down. So as you can see, nice, strong trending movements. Of course, like if you were to sell through this move, a lot of profit there. You buy through that move, a lot of profit there. Sell through there, a lot of profit there. Okay, we have a lot of swings one way or the other. Some of the other currency pairs are a little bit less volatile. Euro USD as well. This one's been quite wild this year. Previously, I found this one to be, quite slow. Now, if we scroll back at price action, this is 2018. We have a lot of sideways action in this market. Very, very crap trading conditions, to be honest. But recently, this thing has really started providing some nice opportunities. So that is also something that I trade. And gold, of course, is another one that is crazy volatile and very, very fun and exciting to trade. So that's my specialized watch list. We focus primarily on the pound. Also, of course, then we've got the euro. Now, this is a major pair. We spoke in the Forex fundamental section about minors and majors. This is the most major pair, as discussed then, the most traded pair that there is, the euro and the US dollar. So for that reason, this one is a great one to trade because it means it has a lot of volatility, a lot of volume in the market, which means we're never going to have problems with, bad commission pricing or bad spread pricing. Normally, the euro USD is probably really the best one for that. So that is this pair. And gold, crazy volatility. I just like this one on the list. So choose some things that you like. If you already have some experience trading, but you haven't specialized, choose your favorite currency pairs. Which ones do you enjoy trading the most? Which ones do you do the best on when you trade them? That is really what you're going to want to select for your watch list. And then, specialize and learn those pairs. And don't worry about any others. Just really get your head down and focus on these few pairs. And that is exactly what you are going to actually specialize in then and trade to build your career around. So when you've actually selected your refined currency pair watch list, I would recommend also then getting the indices. Okay, we'll talk about indices later. You might want to add them to the list anyway. Basically, as mentioned, they are going to show you the weighted performance of a currency. So when this US dollar currency index is going down, the dollar is generally going down across the board. When the US dollar index is going up, the US dollar is going up across the board. Now, if we look at a few examples of that, okay, GBP USD, we can see here right now, as it stands, the dollar is building a lot of strength. Okay, the dollar is going hard, it's going strong here. If we look at the GBP USD, which shows the strength of the pound versus the dollar, then if this dollar is going up, that is going to push the pound down against the dollar. And if we look at the GBP USD chart, you're going to see that same strength in the dollar resonated here versus the pound, pushing the pound down. Okay, same goes for Euro USD. We have the strength of the DXY here. This is the dollar index building a lot of strength. And that is showing that the dollar is building strength against the euro, and that is pushing Euro USD down. So that's how these indices work. And that is how we're actually going to use them in our trading. We will, of course, go much more in depth about this later, but I just thought it would be worth covering now. If you are not going to be trading the pound, you are not going to be trading the euro, you won't want the DXY, the BXY. You will want, for example, the AXY for the Australian dollar, the EXY for the euro, and the do we have the AXY for the Japanese yen? Okay, so for example, whatever your major currency pairs are, that is where you'll really want to actually look at the indices. Now, I would recommend the DXY. The dollar is essentially a ruling currency, so this is probably the one you're going to want to use the most. But other than that, just use what is suitable for you. Now, obviously, being a pound trader, it's very useful having the BXY. If this starts to lose strength, I can then see that the pound is going to also lose strength across the board, as you can see from these nice bearish movements that we're getting. So there we go. That is refining your watch list, why you should do it and how you should actually do it, and then how you can build your watch list in TradingView. Remember, using this top tab, and then you can just add in whatever it is that you want to trade on there. So that is all for this video. Go away now and refine your watch list. Choose some currency pairs that work really well for you, that you enjoy trading with and you do well with, and then craft your watch list and be prepared to disregard almost everything else and focus on specializing yourself into these. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you over in the next video.